Hello everyone, this is Providencia. Welcome to my channel. Today I am gonna make this entire meal. So this is a come cook with me video. I made some white rice, some fried pork chops, some plantains with some ajo, and pinto beans. So you'll be able to see all these recipes in this video. In case you're watching for the first time, I like to do these type of videos, lots of come cook with me videos. In case you're watching for the first time, these type of videos doesn't have really like specific measurements. I'm just cooking for my family and I'm just going along with the flow. I like to work with what I have, and yeah, I will try to explain everything I'm adding, how much to add more or less, but it's not specific measurements, but I will try my best to guide you. With that being said, let's resume this video. So the first thing I'm gonna do is make my white rice. I'm sorry, I don't have no specific measurement. I'm gonna try to work on that because I do my rice just eyeballing it. So I know more or less how much water to add, how much salt to add, and all that good stuff. But the water is boiling. I'm gonna add some salt and I'm gonna let it come to a boil before I add my oil and my rice. Next, I'm gonna go and prepare the beans. The first thing you're gonna want to do is use any peppers of your choice. This particular day I had a green one. You're gonna want to remove all of the seeds. And I'm also gonna cut a half of an onion. I have a Spanish onion, but if you have a red one or any onion, use any onion of your choice. I have some culantro, recao, cilantro ancho, whichever way you call it. Make sure you wash everything and also try to cut the tip from your culantro. That's very important. I am also gonna add potatoes to my beans. Remember, I am Puerto Rican. You know, my husband is Dominican. They don't add potatoes to their beans, but I love potatoes in my beans, and so does everyone else in the house. So I'm definitely gonna add some potatoes. When you cut your potatoes, make sure it's a decent size. You don't want it too big or you don't want it too small. As you can see, there was a little black spot in my potato, so I removed that out. Don't nobody want to see potatoes with a black little spot. No. And this is what you're going to need to add to your beans. I have a pot here and we are going to start making the beans. On low heat, you're going to want to add a little bit of canola oil. You can use any oil that you have on hand. Add like 3 tablespoons. I am also going to add some sazón líquido, which is the ranchero. I really like to add ranchero to my beans. I just like the way it tastes. But if you don't have ranchero and you have sofrito, most definitely add sofrito. Remember, you want this on low heat, and every time you add something, just try to make sure that you let it cook for just a few minutes for all the ingredients to come together, and make sure everything is nice and blended. Next, I'm going to add the green pepper and the onion. I'm gonna add some chicken flavored bouillon. I hope I'm saying it right. I'm just gonna call it chicken powder. For real, I struggle with that word. But yes, I'm gonna add some chicken powder. Now, you're gonna wanna add this a little bit at a time, because if you add too much, your beans will be salty. So, I'm using a tablespoon, and I'm gonna add just a little less than a tablespoon. If you want to go and add a little bit more later on, once you taste it and you feel it needs a little bit more, then you add a little bit more. Like I say in all of my videos, taste as you go. I'm also going to add a big heaping spoon of tomato paste. You can also add a half can of tomato sauce. But I don't know, to me, I like to do my beans with tomato paste. So if you could go and try to add the tomato paste, definitely add it. Here I have some garlic that I crushed in my pilon, pesto. And I am going to add a lot of garlic. But first, I want to make sure that I take the garlic out of the stick. I'm sorry. I'm not letting nothing go to waste. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of garlic. Make sure it's fresh garlic, because these beans taste so good with fresh garlic. Now, I'm making this with pinto beans, but you could definitely do this with any type of beans that you have in your house. But let me explain these beans right here. I think I always promote these beans in my videos all the time. These beans are from Aldi's, and let me tell you something. These are the best pinto beans I ever had, okay? I like these beans because they are so soft, and it just looks like you made it from scratch. So if you could try to get this can from Aldi's, even though they ain't paying me for me to say this, if you could go and get this can of pinto beans at Aldi's, listen, I highly recommend you buy it. It is really good. I don't like the Goya one. I don't like any brand of pintos. That's the one I always buy. Now this is a bigger size, as you can see, so that's why I'm adding a little bit more ingredients than the normal. But definitely buy this can. If you cannot find it, try to do at least 2 cans of pinto beans. Okay, I was there talking about the beans for a little minute there. But you don't understand, I love those beans. I highly recommend them. But let's go back to this. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. Add to your liking. And I'm going to add oregano. You're going to want to add, a decent amount of oregano. Now this is very grounded. I got this from the Dominican Republic. So if you're going to add like the flaky one, make sure you crush it with your hands and add it to your beans. Now at this point, you're going to want your beans on very high heat. And let it cook just for a few minutes before you add the water. I'm going to use the same can from my beans, and I'm going to add a can and a half, more or less. Now I like a lot of, like the sauce of the beans. So if you want to add 1 can, that's great, but I highly recommend like a can and a half. If your family likes a lot of like bean sauce with their rice, and all that good stuff. Let it cook for a few minutes. Add your culantro once you start seeing that it came to a boil, and add your potatoes. And basically what you're gonna do is wait for this to get thicker. Once you start seeing that it's getting a little thick, you're going to want to taste it. And if you feel like you need to add just a little bit more of the chicken powder, then you add a little bit more of the chicken powder. Or if you want, you can add some salt. While my beans is thickening up, I'm going to add my rice. Again, I know people in this channel wants a recipe of the rice and how I make it, how many cups, how many water, and all that good stuff. But it's like I said, I've been doing it like this for years. I eyeball it. But I am gonna one day take measurements, and I'm gonna give you the right measurements. I do use medium grain rice, and the brand that I use is Rico. Now, just by me looking at my rice, I know that is a little too much water. So I am removing some water until I know that it's the right amount of rice and the right amount of water. You're going to want to taste the water just to see if you need to add a little bit more salt, which I felt like mine did, so I added more. And you're going to add oil. This is canola oil. You're going to want to add at least a big kitchen spoonful of oil. Now remember, this is a big pot. This is like one of them party pots. So if you make a smaller pot, don't add too much oil. You're going to have this on high heat, and you're just going to wait until it dries up. Once it dries up, you're going to want to form it into like a mountain. Add your aluminum foil. If you don't want to add aluminum foil and you just want to add the lid, that's all good too, but I like to add aluminum foil. And then you're going to want to put this on very low heat, considering this is like a party pot and I'm making a lot of rice for everybody. My rice is going to cook at least 45 minutes. Back to the beans. I am gonna go and taste it just to see if it needs a little something. Like I said, a little bit of chicken powder, or maybe I want to add a little bit more salt. and I felt like it needed a little bit more of the chicken powder, so I added a little bit more. Again, taste as you go. Just add a little bit at a time. You could always add the salt. You could always add the chicken powder later on. So I'm gonna take off my rings because I'm about to season up my chops. That's right, I love me some pork chops. To this bowl, I'm gonna add some extra virgin olive oil, white vinegar. Just try to add a little bit at a time, okay? I am gonna add some sazon líquido, the ranchero. But again, if you do not have ranchero, or let's say you can't find it, you could add sofrito. I do got a sofrito recipe. I will link it in the description box below. It is a little outdated. I gotta make a newer one, a more better quality one. But yeah, you can add sofrito. I'm gonna add 2 packets of sazon, garlic powder. The reason why I add garlic powder instead of fresh garlic is because if you season your pork chops with fresh garlic and you fry it, it will burn. So use garlic powder. Black pepper to your liking. And I'm also gonna add oregano. Now this oregano is like a little flaky, and I do like to add that to my pork chop instead of the ground one. So that's what I'm gonna use. I'm also using this total seasoning from Lawry's, whatever. I don't know how to say that. But that's what I'm gonna use. But if you want to add adobo or any seasonings that you have on hand, you definitely can. Just add a little bit at a time. I tasted it and I felt like it needed a little bit more of the total seasonings, and I ended up adding a little bit more. Taste it again, and you don't want this too salty, but you don't want it bland either, you know what I mean? So just taste as you go, and if you feel like you gotta add more adobo, then you add more adobo. Here's my pork chops, nice and clean, and these are thin slice. I like to use thin sliced pork chops. I do not like the fatter pork chops to fry. It tends to dry up, and it's just no. I don't like thick pork chops to fry when I fry my pork chops. And if I do thick pork chops, I have to do it in the oven for it could be nice and soft and juicy. When it comes to frying my pork chops, I really like to have thin pork chops. So I am gonna season each and every one of these pork chops. Yes, that's 2 packs. But I would prefer to do this and make sure all of my pork chops is well seasoned than, you know, to have bland pork chops. Also, if you have any of the seasoning that's in the bowl left over, please throw it away. Do not save that. As you can see, I'm using a spoon and I'm adding it to my pork chops. You don't want to cross-contaminate. So whatever is left over, just throw it away. However, like I said, I know about measurements, so yeah, I killed all those seasonings that was in that bowl. So I'm gonna add a little bit of water, try to grab as much of the seasonings that's left, and I'm gonna add it to my bowl. Now this is optional, you don't have to do that, but my OCD be acting up sometimes. I am gonna go and put my pork chops in a nice container. You don't have to do this. You can leave it right in the red bowl or any bowl that you have, but I'm gonna put it in the other container, and the other container has a lid. So that's what I'm doing here. But again, you don't have to do that. So I lost the clip when I was adding my pork chops to the oil, so I'm sorry about that. But here you're gonna see that I'm frying it. You're definitely gonna need a plate with some paper towels, because since you're frying this, you want to remove all the excess oil. I'm using canola oil. I do not recommend that you fry this with olive oil. You're gonna want to use corn oil, vegetable oil, and oil like that. You're gonna want to put this on medium high, and you're just looking for a nice golden color. Depending on the size of the pork chops, how thin it is, pork chops could cook between at least 10 to 15 minutes. Mine is really thin, so mine was cooking for 10 minutes. Now I like my pork chops like a nice, beautiful golden color, but my kids, they want theirs a little bit more cooked. Like how they tell me, make mine a little bit more crispy. It all depends how your family likes it. So I'm gonna be doing some pork chops that is a little on the light side, then I'm gonna make some a little bit crispier for my other kids. And look at those yummy pork chops. Oh my goodness. And I gotta edit this in the morning. And see that? See those nice delicious golden pork chops? Oh my goodness. That's the bad part about editing in the morning. When I edit these videos and see my food and be like, oh, I wish I had a plantain. I wish I had a pork chops. The struggle be real. But look at how beautiful these pork chops look. Oh my goodness. Out of all the meats that I make, pork chops is my kids' favorite. They can eat pork chops at least 3 times a week. But of course, I'm not making it 3 times a week because mira, the prices is crazy out there with the food. So yeah, I'm just saying if they had the choice, they'll eat 3 times a week pork chops. So now I'm gonna make my plantains. I have an in-depth video on how I make my plantains with my garlic sauce. I'll leave it in the description box below. But what I'm doing here is just cutting it from side to side. Then I make some slits. And I like to put mine in hot water just to remove the skin more faster and more better. So I'm gonna do this with all 4 of my plantains. So I'm cutting my plantains. You're gonna want to make sure that it's like about an inch. You don't want it too fat, and you don't want it too skinny. You're not making plantain chips. No, like an inch would be good. Add some water to your plantains, and then you're gonna want to add a decent amount of salt. Oh God, who is texting me right now? Next, we're gonna make the garlic sauce. So here I have my crushed garlic. Now you're gonna have to like taste as you go with this one as well. You're gonna want to add olive oil, vinegar, and salt. But what you're looking for is for this to taste a little bit more like vinegar than the extra virgin olive oil. Okay? Just keep that in mind. So if you're adding a little bit of oil and a little bit of vinegar, just know that you're most likely gonna have to add a little bit more vinegar than the olive oil. Also taste as you go. If you feel like you need to add a little bit more salt, add more salt. We are gonna put this on top of the plantains, and let me tell you something. My garlic sauce, everyone loves it. My neighbor always talks about my garlic sauce and how much he loves it. So every time I make plátanos, I always send him some plátanos with some garlic because I know he really loves it. So here I am checking up on the beans, and I'm seeing that it's getting a little bit more thicker now, and you're gonna want to remove the peppers, the onions, the culantro. The flavors is already in the beans. You're gonna want some nice clean beans. All the flavors is already in there, so yes, you could remove all of that. And one onion was trying to escape, and I was like, no, you need to come out of the pot right now. Again, taste it just to make sure that it's good. If you need to add a little bit more of something, although I didn't have to do that. And it all depends how thick you like your beans. I like my beans not too thick, but not too watery. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna cook it for another maybe like 4 or 5 minutes because I want it a little bit more thicker than this. And the beans are done. Now I know this is from a can. I know. But my husband loves beets. So I had a can of beets and I put it into a bowl. Make sure you add a little bit of the juice from the can. And you're going to want to add at least a tablespoon full of sugar. Mix it up and just leave it aside. Now I am frying my plátanos. This is the first fry. And what you're looking for is for a nice golden color before you take them out. Make sure your plantains is on medium high. You don't want it too low because then it'll be soggy. You don't want it too high because then it'll be cooked on the outside and not cooked on the inside. So make sure that you cook this for at least a good 5 to 7 minutes. And I am using canola oil. I took out all my plantains and what I'm doing here is just smashing away, making my tostones. And we're going to fry this again for another maybe 2-3 minutes on high heat. So the rice is done, nice and fluffy. Oh my goodness, I love my white rice. Here is the beans with the potatoes. This is the way I like my beans. Not too thick, not too watery. This is how I like it. Again, the reason why I add a little bit more water than the normal is because I like a lot of the bean broth or the bean sauce. And I love to put it on top of my rice. It's so delicious. Look at all that sauce that you have when you add a little bit more water. And here is the final plate. Some nice avocado, some pork chops. Oh my goodness, I wish I had a piece of that right now. This is my husband's plate. This is how he likes his pork chops. Not too golden, not too crispy. I already know how he likes his. Some slices of tomatoes, plátanos, plantains. Oh my goodness. Why am I editing this in the morning? My garlic. The pinto beans with the potatoes. I ended up putting more sauce because I gotta take pictures. I gotta make sure, my plate looks nice. You know what I mean? So I added some more sauce for it could be nice and juicy with a lot of sauce. The beets and the white rice. So that was everything that I made for dinner that day. A typical Spanish plate for real. Like, it don't get any better than rice, beans, pork chop, and plantains and avocado. It just doesn't get any better than that. But yeah, that was everything that I made, and I try to explain it as best as I can for you guys. So I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video. I will be doing each and every recipe that you just saw in this plate individually into shorts. For those that cannot watch long videos, they just like the short ones. Listen, I get it. Me personally, I like short videos, but I'm gonna be real with you. I like long videos. And mind you, I know how to cook, but I just like, you know, watching long videos. I get pleasure in watching longer videos, but now I know that is a thing. Everybody likes short videos, so I'm gonna start doing short videos. So I'm gonna do like a video on the pork chops separate, the tostones, which is the plantain, separate, the beans separate, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, for that way everybody could also get them in short videos. I know that I have been only posting come cook with me videos, but it's the summer, you know what I mean? I want to enjoy my summer, my kids want to enjoy the summer, and I'm just not doing individual like recipes. You get what I'm saying? I'm just cooking for my family, and I just take my tripod and my camera and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a video of this today. And yeah, I just hope you guys are really enjoying these videos. You know that even though it's a come cook with me video and I'm just going along with the flow, I try my very best to go and give you guys ingredients, texture. I try to explain it the best way that I can. But I will be getting back to doing individual recipes. Maybe after the summer is finished, because I'm trying to enjoy my summer, but I also want to be consistent on YouTube and want to keep giving you guys cooking videos. With that being said, I hope that you enjoy yourself today. Take care, God bless, enjoy your summer, and I will see you in the next video. Please don't forget to give this video a like. Bye!